a 25-foot fall.
This dude literally jumped off there and is down 14 feet. Dude, Seth, are you all right?
And a face-first landing.
My first thought was that he was dead.
See him make a complete recovery.
And that was like amazing.
Plus,
at number 1,
this week's top 5 trending stories, all on today's 700 Club Interactive. Well, welcome to the show. Here's Ephraim Graham with this week's top 5 from Studio 5.
At number 5.
Where the old lady, she's like, help, I'm falling and I can't get up. First thing I'm thinking, why don't the cameraman help her? He right there.
Michael Jr.'s comedy special is in theaters for one night only, Thursday, October 18th. This is not just a film. It seems like it's the beginning of a movement.
That would be awesome. Yeah, so there's something that happens in the film. I'm not gonna give it away either, but the film itself, first of all, this has never been done before.
It's a bit of a call to action.
I don't just want them to laugh. I want them to be inspired.
But you go to the people who can't be in an actual shelter, so they live in the woods. He's special needs, and he recently passed away.
Because, yeah, I wanted to be funny.
There's a little thing at the end that, or close to the end, where I kind of break the fourth wall a little bit, and people aren't expecting it. And when you see this movie, I'm hoping that something kind of cool could take place, but I won't necessarily give it away. You gotta see the movie.
At number 4.
Sorry, we do not have the wherewithal in this family for any of you kids to be special.
It's a sitcom set in the 70s with mom and dad raising 8 boys. This is a look at ABC's The Kids Are All Right.
And follows the Clearys, a middle-class, no-frills Irish Catholic family.
I turned 12 in the summer of 1972, an awesome time to be a kid. Bike helmets hadn't been invented yet, or car seat belts, or even normal adult supervision.
Mommy, my lungs are dying. I have asthma.
No, you don't. We can't afford asthma.
In the first episode, the eldest son returns home and announces he is quitting the seminary.
This season promises lots of heart and even lots more laughter.
What about that Watergate break-in?
You know what I call Watergate? That's phony news.
At number 3.
One step at a time, and hopefully we'll start a family in the near future.
The future is here for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
We also generally couldn't think of a better place to announce the upcoming baby, be it a boy or a girl.
Announcing their baby news during their Australia tour.
That's fabulous. We were very pleased. We knew it was coming soon.
She's an American princess. She's also just a really cool woman. And I think the world will be blessed to have one of her kids in the world.
At number 2. Chance the Rapper becomes John the Lyft driver.
What's your name?
Desi.
Desi, I'm John.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Ashanti.
Miss Ashanti. I am John. I will be your driver today.
Going undercover to raise money for Chicago public schools.
One of the things I like about this, the Lyft thing, is they got the round up and donate. I'm trying to get, more involved in the city, do my little piece of activism when I can.
Yeah. This unknowing rider is Desiree Hemphill Davis.
A lot of my friends, I think, are going to see the video and say, there's no way you could not have known, but I definitely did not.
You ever met Chance the Rapper?
No.
You could meet him.
Get out of here!
You can help Chicago Public Schools through the New Chance Fund.
It was just a simple way to donate to Chicago Public Schools, and it was something I wanted to do because I'm a product of Chicago Public Schools.
At number 1.
Gonna love me to death.
Our Kathy Lee Gifford keeps busy. Her next project is this children's book, and it's titled The Gift That I Can Give.
Kids' self-esteem is a tentative thing, and you have a certain window of time to build that up. And do you want to let the world do it? Do you want to let the Lord do it?
Yeah.
And God says that He made no mistakes with you. You have every talent you're ever going to need. You've got every bit of pizzazz and personality. You just have to start trusting that all those things are there, praying about them, and asking God to bring them to the forefront.
Well, Ephraim's with us now, and we've got to talk about the major headline, which is there's a new royal baby coming.
Yeah, yes, there's a new royal baby coming.
That's the buzz that hit the whole wide world.
We were all expecting it relatively soon. The future is here, and the baby's
it's just
coming.
like falling off a log, isn't it?
She's 12 weeks pregnant, and the baby's due this spring. Coming spring.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any prediction? Boy or girl?
I'm going to say girl.
You're going to say girl?
I'm going to say girl, yeah. I don't know why, but that's my hunch.
I'll go with that.
I'll see you in the spring.
Chance the Rapper, helping schools.
He is so amazing.
What is with him that he just wants to give back so much into the Chicago public school system?
You know, that's his heart. He attended Chicago public schools as well. His dad, certainly active, mom, active in the community, grandmom, an active believer, instilled that in him, and he has definitely got a heart to give. I mean, just last week, I think it was, we were talking about the fact that he was raising money to donate for mental illness awareness there. And then this week, he is raising money for his charity. It's called Social Works, and it all goes to benefit Chicago public schools. And he goes undercover as a Lyft driver. Watching it, I'm thinking, you guys can't tell who that is, but he went undercover, and you can round up.
He's got the sunglasses. He's got the cap on.
I just kind of, I don't know.
He's undercover. You're not exactly expecting Chance the Rapper to be your Lyft driver.
No, but you round up when you're riding, and those funds go to
It's kind of like undercover boss. You're
yes.
not, you know.
You're not sure.
You're not sure, but okay.
Good job there.
The boss would never be down here with me.
No.
So Chance the Rapper would never be at that.
He'd never be picking me up on the corner. And if you watch the series there that he's doing, it's really funny because he's obviously taking people to the wrong place. Because you did say 67th, right? And the woman's kind of like, no, I didn't say that. but
she's not sure how to charge for the lift.
No, I think that would have been a free ride. I hope so.
But they were looking for a donation at the end.
Yes, that he was.
All right, let's talk about this new comedy project, because that one has me really intrigued.
It has me intrigued. I have to say, I have not seen it. I shared it because of all that I've read about it. It is the creator, his name is Tim Doyle. He has been a writer for The Ellen Show. He's been a writer for Roseanne. He's got a series of successes, but this is based on his life. He literally grew up during the 70s with 8 kids. He's the 5th child, and he calls himself the middle and needy child, but grew up in a great
family.
family.
The Kid's All Right. That's not the movie. That's a TV show.
Oh, which movie? You're talking about More Than Funny.
Yeah.
More Than Funny. Okay, More Than Funny I have seen, and it is a great film. That is.
All right, what happens at the end?
I can't tell you what happens at the
Why
end.
That's why I was asking the question.
I promised I would keep it a secret, but I saw it. Michael Jr. is amazing. He's extremely funny. If you go to one of his shows, the very interesting thing about it is in the middle of being funny, he takes you to these serious places where it's clearly ministry. It's clearly ministry. And he
did it on his last project, which was not a theater release, it was DVD.
Right.
But he was being very intentional. I'm going to take comedy to places that comedy normally doesn't go.
Absolutely, and that surprises audiences.
And I'm going to take the viewer with me. Here we're having a movie of his stage presentation, which is a little different, but you're sort of expecting a comedy special. And you get that. You get a surprise.
You get that. Now, I will tell you that 3 of the surprises in the film that I can give away is he takes you to people's lives who are in need, and he matches them up with someone who can help meet the need and makes them rise to the occasion. And it's beautifully, beautifully done. Very funny. I enjoyed every minute of it. I never ever thought I'd watch a comedy special and tear up, and I did. That's how powerful the film is. But you can only see it Thursday night, the 18th of October, in a theater near you. More Than Funny.
So it's a Fathom event?
Yes, it's a Fathom event. More Than
One
Funny.
night only?
One night only.
He doesn't have an encore?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But
depends on tomorrow night.
If we do well tomorrow and we pack those theaters.
I love Michael Jr. I think he's one of the best comics going today. And he is a unbelievable Christian. And when you see this, you just kind of go Michael.
Yes, go Michael. Using the platform.
Doing that. You're using your platform. You're not just trying to be funny. You're trying to make a difference in people's lives.
That's
and
right.
that is just
amazing.
Go Michael.
Amazing. Go Michael. I love him. I love him.
Okay, you want to talk about that TV show now?
Real quick. Real quick. More Than Funny.
Tie it up here.
More Than Funny. As I said, Tim Doyle is the creator. He's a middle child of 8 boys. He grew up, and used his own life now to make a situation comedy. It's getting rave reviews. The family is a Christian family, and based on his life in the 70s, and funny.
Did you get your hair cut in the backyard?
No, but I did get my hair cut in the kitchen.
Well, you got to sweep up. You do it in the backyard. The air just takes it
that's actually smarter.
It's not a bad idea.
See, you got it all wrong.
All right. Well, for all the latest in entertainment news, as well as the latest on Michael Jr.'s film, check out Ephraim's weekly show. It's called Studio 5. You can watch it online at cbn.com/Studio 5. And Ephraim, we'll see you again next week.
See you next week.
Well, coming up, a young man takes a leap off one building onto the roof of another.
Before you knew it, we heard like a bang.
Jumped the roof, literally fell 14 feet.
We knew it was very serious. There was the thought that like he might not make it.
Watch what happens next and see how this man receives a miracle right after this. Well, Seth Alfaro survived a 25-foot fall off a building, and then an MRI showed that Seth suffered something called brain shearings. His parents were told that he would never be normal again.
It had been an unusually warm February day in Grand Rapids, Michigan, when Nate Wabanga and some friends went skateboarding downtown.
Before I knew it, Seth was like, hey, like, you know, I'm gonna climb on top of this building. And then another one of my friends, Hunter, also was like, hey, I'll go up there with you.
Seth Alfaro and another friend wanted to catch the sunset. But when they got to the top, Seth decided to jump down to the adjacent building, an abandoned, empty auto shop.
And before you knew it, we heard like a bang. And then Hunter was screaming at the top of his lungs.
This dude literally jumped off there and is down 14 feet. Dude, Seth, are you all right?
Nate and the others broke into the shop to find Seth lying on the floor, unconscious and fighting for breath.
Jumped the roof, literally fell 14 feet.
We knew it was very serious. There was the thought that like he might not make it.
They called 911 and Seth was taken to Spectrum Health Center in critical condition. Soon after, his parents, Christopher and Christine, were met by a police officer at their home.
And the first thing she said was Seth Alfaro had a bad accident. And my first thought was that he was dead.
They rushed to the ER where a trauma doctor told them what happened.
He told us that he had fallen about 25 feet and that he had bleeding in the brain. They had already done a CAT scan. They hadn't been able to get any response from him. I said, could he die from this? And he said, yes, he could.
Doctors also said if he did survive, the odds were against a full recovery. Seth was sedated and put in a cold, dark room to try to reduce the swelling on the brain.
They said, there's nothing we can do for the damage that's done from the fall. They said our job now is to keep the swelling down, to keep him alive. And I just put my head down and I said, Lord, you gotta help me. I can't do this.
That's all we did was pray, nonstop. I mean, nonstop. If I paced the room, it was just prayers after prayers after prayers.
Over the next several days, Christine's sister kept friends and family updated on Facebook.
I like to think of it as this wave of faith that just held us up. And it was like immediately everybody jumped on a miracle.
It was some of those posts, some of those prayers. You didn't feel like you were alone. You just felt like you were surrounded by prayer.
Eventually, doctors felt Seth would survive. Now, the family prayed for a full recovery.
I did worry for sure about what
kind of life he would have.
What kind of life he'll have. How much of Seth will we ever really see Seth again?
A week later, the swelling had gone down enough for doctors to do an MRI. The results showed extensive brain shearing.
We heard shearing, that's all I heard. He didn't say anything else. I knew. Okay, now we're looking at the worst case scenario.
Dr. Sam Ho explains.
Well, shearing is almost like a sandpaper, you shear. So like the brain torsion and so on. So the mental function is not going to be good. You're affecting the speech, you're affecting the processing. People with this type of picture generally don't do well.
Doctors told Chris and Christine they should start looking at long-term care facilities for their son. Still, the family continued asking God for a miracle.
We're not a people of despair. And so it was important to us as a family to just rest in what, all things work for the good of those who love Him, serve Him, and called to His plan. That was the mentality.
Doctors started bringing Seth out of sedation, looking for any signs of healing.
First began with him kind of having slits, just barely, he'd open his eyes. We're like, hey, Seth, how are you doing? And then he closed his eyes.
As each day passed, they brought with them new signs of hope.
He was reaching for some of us, like his nephews. He put his arm around them. When I was sitting on his bed, he grabbed me and hugged me. And that was like amazing.
After 2 weeks, Seth was transferred to the Mary Free Bed Rehab Center. His progress was so rapid, his doctors couldn't keep up.
The physical therapist was like, I don't even know how to plan for him. Like, I'll see him one day, make a plan for the next day. I get there the next day, he's already past it.
To be able to recover in such a fast pace itself is already amazing. But to the extent of how he recovered and the rate that he recovered is incredible.
On March 30th, 2017, only 6.5 weeks after his accident, Seth walked up the steps to his home, on his way to a full recovery.
They expected me to be at Mary Free Bed or the Rehabilitation Center for 10 weeks at least, and then go on to assisted care living, and I left in 4 weeks and was jogging out of the hospital. Prayer does so much more than you could ever even imagine. I just thank God every day, oh my goodness, thank you,
Today, Seth has no residual issues from the fall, only a renewed faith in the one who saved him.
God knew when He healed Seth, He was also answering hundreds of thousands of people's prayers because He knew then what would come of it later and how many people He could reach through it, and that's amazing.
That was the other part of the miracle, was the body of believers surrounding a hurting family and surrounding us with prayers to get us through this time. And, that's the thing I'm thankful for.
God, is a miracle. And it's I don't know, I just keep saying, I'm so blessed, but, it's nothing I did. That was all God.
It's what God does, and He does miracles because He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. You can trust Him. If you need a miracle today, all you have to do is something very simple. That is believe. Now, when you get into it, and in Seth's case, you get into it in a hospital setting where you literally have machines that are keeping you alive. When you get into that environment, how do you keep faith? Well, for Seth, there was a great community. It was on Facebook. There was a wonderful community that joined in and just started believing for miracles. When you believe for that and you confess that and you stand on that, that's when you get the change. Very simple teaching from Jesus. You find it in Mark chapter 11. When you stand praying, believe, there's that word, believe, that you have already received, and you will have it. Now, that sounds simple, but in practice, it can get really hard. So I encourage you, believe, believe. If the doctors say it's incurable, believe. If all the symptoms are overwhelming you, believe. And get other people involved to help you believe that you have already received, and then you will have it. If you need someone to pray with you, we're here for you. All you have to do is call us, 1-800-700-7000. Just say, I need prayer. And we're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our honor, our privilege to agree with you in prayer. Call us, 1-800-700-7000. Well, still to come, a woman leads a double life.
Clubbing, getting drunk, sex outside of marriage. You smoke weed on Friday and sing in the choir on Sunday.
See what happens when her two worlds collide when we come back. Jordan Branch sang in the choir at church on Sunday morning, but Friday and Saturday nights, she was smoking pot, getting drunk, and having sexual encounters.
For much of her life, Jordan Branch was chasing what always seemed out of reach.
Acceptance. Definitely acceptance. I felt like I wanted to be accepted by people and I wasn't. Definitely love. I just had this strong craving that I wanted to be loved so badly.
Growing up, she always felt like an outsider. All the more when her parents sent her to a private school in 6th grade.
My hair was different, my skin was different, I was different. I felt very insecure. Kids were really mean, called me, you know, stupid, dummy, stuff like that, or just ugly, and I mean, I just would like cry.
Jordan kept silent because she believed no one cared enough to listen. And even though her family went to church every Sunday, she felt the same way about God.
I don't know anything about going to my Bible or going to go pray or going to go talk to God about my feelings, and I just wasn't taught to about that in church or in general. So I just know I'm feeling bad and I don't know how to handle it other than internalizing it.
By 9th grade, Jordan couldn't take it anymore.
And I took a bottle of ibuprofen from the kitchen and swallowed all of the 31 pills in the bottle. And by the grace of God, I threw them all up.
In high school, Jordan thought she found what she needed in an older boy and sex.
At the time, it felt like love, but it wasn't love. It didn't help at all. It made it worse, actually.
Later in college, Jordan pursued love and acceptance in more ways.
Clubbing, getting drunk, sex outside of marriage. I had a very deep level of sadness inside of me. When I got high, I'm not thinking about my insecurities. When I was drunk, I'm not thinking about my low self-esteem.
All this time, she still went to church. Even so, it never occurred to her to run to God.
I didn't know what it meant to seek God. You know, you smoke weed on Friday and sing in the choir on Sunday. And I didn't even know that any of the stuff I was doing was wrong.
After college, Jordan attended a networking conference. She met a man there, agreed to have drinks later, and became the victim of date rape. Though she tried to press charges, she was told there wasn't enough evidence.
I was depressed. I was just all the negative emotions that you can think of. I was feeling those things. And I remember driving down the road and thinking, oh, well, maybe I can run into this tree and people wouldn't think it was intentionally or was a suicide. They would think it was an accident.
A few weeks later, Jordan had lunch with a friend and shared how she was feeling about life. He told her how Christ could heal her and provide what she'd never found elsewhere.
When he started talking about God, it was different. It was genuine and it was sincere and it wasn't surface level. He talked about God in his life and a relationship with him. I felt like my eyes had been opened. After that, I remember going home. I just started crying and I just told God, like, oh, I get it now. I've been wrong, you know, and I'm sorry. Right there on the bedroom floor, I just told him I wanted to rededicate my life to him. I wanted to live right for him.
Jordan's life soon took an entirely new path.
I might have felt the same initially, but my responses were different. So I would feel sad inside, but instead of going to go smoke weed, I would go pick up my Bible. Or I might have felt depressed at one point in time, but instead of trying to go have sex outside of marriage, I would go pray and talk to the Lord about it.
Now Jordan reaches out to help other young women through her book. And she's engaged to be married. She says she's found in Christ what she had spent so many years chasing.
I just stayed faithful to him, to let him deal with those wounds and the sadness, and eventually he got rid of it. I've definitely been able to find acceptance and love in him, definitely. This is what love really is. This is what satisfaction really is.
This is what love really is, that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He paid the price because he knew that without that, we could never have the relationship with him, the relationship he longs for, that he was willing to die for. Now, Jordan's story is a similar story to a lot of people. You grow up, you feel alienated, you want to fit in, you want to try to fit in, you want to do whatever it takes to be accepted. And along the way, the world will tell you, well, if you do these certain things, you'll be accepted. If you hang out with the cool crowd or you do this kind of stuff, then you know, you'll get that satisfaction. You'll get what you're looking for. But then when you do those things, you find out, well, no, that really didn't satisfy. That didn't really fill the hunger in my heart. I don't really feel loved. I still feel isolated. I don't feel like I belong. All of these things keep flooding in. And then over time, you come to moments of despair. Well, if this is all there is, well, then now what? Well, I've got some great news for you. You're at that point in time where you can finally surrender to him and say, Jesus, could you take me? Could you take me just how I am? I've messed things up. I need you right now. If you pray that with all of your heart, he'll answer you. He will always accept you. A broken and contrite spirit he will not despise. That's what the Bible says. If you're wondering if he's there, there's another very simple prayer. Jesus, if you're there, if you love me, if you can forgive me, could you show me? If you pray that with all of your heart, he'll answer it. If you need help with the prayer, we're here for you. All you have to do is call us, 1-800-700-7000. All you have to do is say, I need to find Jesus, and I need him today. Here's a word for you from Romans chapter 5. But God demonstrates his own love towards us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. For all of us here, God bless you. We'll see you again.